Hey everybody, I'm Garcia, and today I'm taking a look at the second latest expansion to Abyss, a favorite game of mine called Leviathan. In this expansion, the players are going to have to contend with a new breed of underwater monsters and fight them off in order to gain some great rewards. So this one is going to replace a specific sliver of design in the original game with a whole new concept. And I'm going to give you an overview of how that goes in just 1 minute. I do want to mention I'm not going to be going over how Abyss plays. Go check out our review of Abyss itself if you want to know more about the base game. But if you're ready to dive into this expansion and see what it's all about, stick around and let's take a look at it. So here are all the components that come in the expansion, and the main focus, the center point here, is of course the Leviathans and this board right here. So to set up the game, you are going to replace this board from the original game, the monster board, right, in which you would track the monster attacks. If you wanted to attack, you could go ahead and cash in and get this reward and reset the token. If you wanted to let the monster go, you would simply advance this until the rewards got better and better. Well, this is no longer in the game with the expansion, and it is instead replaced with this board here, in which you are going to deploy the Leviathans and fight them as the monster cards come up. So I'll explain that in just 1 second. Besides that, though, you are going to get a new stack of these monster tokens, all tagged with an L on the back, because the rewards are different. They're not just victory points. You are going to get this fantastic mini here to track who has most recently killed a Leviathan or who has killed the most. You are going to get a couple of dice and some new lords, some tokens, and the deck of Leviathan monsters themselves. So these, I'm not really going to go into depth too much, just basically that they have to do with the Leviathans for the most part, manipulating them, giving you better options if you attack them, giving you bigger rewards if you defeat them, things like that. The new ally cards here, there's a few new monsters, by the way, just to even out the deck so that they show up with some frequency. But then the new cards, they are going to show you a symbol at the top. One of two symbols, in fact. This symbol here, which allows you to pay pearls to increase or, enhance your die roll. And this one here, this kind of symbol, which shows 2 blue dice. And that means that when you attack the Leviathans, you'll roll both dice and pick the better one instead of a single die, as is the norm. So let's actually take a look at how this works. At the beginning of the game, you are going to go ahead and place 1 Leviathan in play by rolling both dice and seeing what you rolled, a 5 in this case, drawing one and placing it in the corresponding spot on this board. And you are going to mark it down here at the highest level. In this case, this one happens to have a single level, but some of them will have multiple levels, as you can see on this one, for example. You'll play the game regularly, but every time you draw one of these cards, you have, again, an option. You can fight, you can not fight. If you do not fight, you must add a Leviathan, and then you'll discard this card from the track. To add a new one, you take both dice, you roll them, whatever you rolled, you add a Leviathan to that spot. Be aware, if you rolled, and what you got was already filled with a Leviathan, it attacks you first, you take a penalty, which is printed on the side here, then you replace the monster. They might take away pearls, you might lose allies from your hand, you might even lose health, which means you'll take these tokens, and each one at the end of the game is -1 victory point. So that's the first option, and you can continue exploring the depths after that. Second option is you fight. If you fight, you must discard a necessary ally from your hand. This one needs green or red. This one needs blue or red. You'll notice they all can use red. So the Crab Clan, you can use that to fight anything. So let's say I've got one of those cards in my hand. Let's draw here from the original cards. And let's say my card is, this one. So I'll play that, and I'll say, you know, I'm going to attack this monster right here. It needs, as it tells me down here in the corner, a 5 to kill that level, to take out that level. My card is a 2. I'm going to roll a die and hope that my total between the card and the die roll is 5. I did not do it, so I'm done. Nothing else happens, but I'm done. I could even attack again the same monster, but if I have to play a new card. Let's say, however, I did manage to get at least 5, in this case 7. I remove that level and I get a reward. It's 1 monster token in this case, and I could take it from the original monster tokens, which are just victory points, or from the new monster tokens, which are going to give you pearls sometimes. They are going to give you the ability to draw an entire deck of allies from the court, or they'll give you a key. And so you might choose to do that if you want to get more keys, you're really low on pearls, things like that, okay? Once you defeat one, and in this case, that's only one, there's only 1 level on this monster, so it is defeated, then you are going to keep the card. If you're the first person to kill a Leviathan, you get this monster here, the token. If anyone else later on matches or bests how many you've done, you have to give it up, by the way. This will be worth 5 victory points at the end of the game, whoever has the mini here. And then you are done. If you fight, you are done for the round. If you are attacking something with multiple levels, as I said, you can keep attacking by discarding new cards from your hand. And if you ever defeat the very last one on the board, you automatically replenish the board just by, rolling again both dice and adding a new one. There must always be one available is the idea. The new cards, the new allies here, allow you to do a little something more tricky. So again, in this case, same scenario. I'm attacking this beastie here. I have to get a total of 5. This one says I can roll both and take the better one. And the other ones say, like this one here, that I would roll a single die. Since I only got to 4, I can pay pearls to make up the difference. So I would pay a pearl, make my total 5, boom, I've defeated the monster. All right, and that's the main idea in the expansion. So you are attacking monsters, trying to get rewards. Lots more of these, and these are going to be in play typically using this expansion. And of course, you'll use the lords, as I said, to help you do this all a little bit more efficiently. Like with this one, for example, that says you win 1 extra monster token for each health point you remove from a Leviathan. Fantastic. Or this one, earn 2 pearls for each health point you remove from a Leviathan. Or this one, if you slay a Leviathan, you can fight a second one, which is not normally the case. And then some of the cards let you immediately fight a Leviathan, like this one, which is normally not allowed unless you actually draw the monster card. And there's a few different things like that. So you get 10 new lords here in the deck to be shuffled in. And that's all there is to it. I do want to mention that the game now institutes a 12-card hand limit shown right here. But other than that, you now know everything about the expansion. So let's go back up top. Let me tell you what I thought of it. All right, that's Leviathan. Let's check this out. I'm going to start with thematic ties. As the theme original is well implemented. Absolutely, 100%. I love what they did here in this expansion. Basically, what they did was they took the part of the game that I always found to be the most by the numbers, sort of the weakest part. Though, again, I really enjoy the original game quite a bit. But they took the one part that I always thought was a little straightforward mechanically and sort of the interest, and they replaced it with a very thematic, cool, engaging, dramatic new piece of the puzzle. And it is so cool. So the theme is great. Love what they did there. The aesthetics are, just as in the rest of the game, fantastic. The look of the Leviathans is great. Every single one has different artwork. Every single one. The new lords look fantastic. The plastic miniature is really just a token, but they went ahead and made a fantastic plastic miniature, and it looks very cool. So the whole thing just looks great and works very well. They also, by the way, I should mention, went ahead and, as opposed to in the original expansion, that they did not tag all of the cards as being part of the expansion. with a little symbol somewhere. So, for example, the Lords in the original expansion, which was this one here, the Kraken expansion, you had to, if you mixed them up with the original deck of cards, deck of Lords, you had to look up which ones were which to remove them. This one, they're marked. So kudos for that move. Every expansion should do that. Replayability. Does the game scale well? Are there new things to discover? I think the replayability is not necessarily enhanced by this expansion, but I do think the involvement and, again, the drama of what's going on is enhanced. It's a fairly small part of the overall concept, though, you know. So I don't know if I would say that replayability is kicked up. Certainly, if you were getting tired of the original game and this is going to inject some new gameplay into it, then yes, certainly. But overall, I don't think it has necessarily any more replayability than the original game. You know, that would be a bit of a stretch, I think. Game length. Does it stay interesting the whole time? Is it repetitive? I think the game length, interestingly, it's either about the same as the original gameplay or a little bit faster. And the reason for that is because there's a little more pearl generation, you know, in the game. There's the flow of the income of that resource is perhaps going to be a little more, it's possible for it to be a little more fluid. There will be more pearls in the economy of the game, which means players are buying from each other more. They can spend pearls to buy Lords earlier by paying those pearls to make up the difference. And so I think that's a really interesting side effect I've noticed, in which the gameplay not only does not get longer, but might in fact be shorter. And I don't have a problem with that. So that's very cool. The ease of play. Is any of it fitly? Are the rules extraneous? Or is there anything like that? I found everything they added here to be really thematic and interesting. No part of it do I feel like, I don't know why that's in there. You know, even the monster attacks, which are very rare. When I saw wounds on the sides of the cards, I was thinking, oh man, are they going to like assign wounds to the Lords and eventually they die? Are there some complications here that are going to make it fiddly for me, that are going to make it, you know, quote unquote, too much? But even that is handled very simply. You take a wound token, you keep it, it's -1 point at the end of the game. Done. That's great, you know. And though I do wish they would have included a new scoring pad, and really that's one of the main things I wish they would have done, because there's no space for that on the original scoring pad. You'll just have to, you know, pencil it in there somewhere. Overall, it is a pleasure to play. It's easy to explain and thematic, you know, and just engaging. And then lastly, tactics and strategy. Does it feel balanced? Is it too lucky? Anything like that? I think it takes that, again, part of the original game, which was those monster tokens, which usually were a tiny sliver of your score in any case, and it just kicks it up. Now that's a solid, viable strategy, is attacking the Leviathans. I've seen players get a considerable amount of their score from those tokens, you know, from ignoring the new Leviathan monster tokens and focusing on the old ones while beating the snot out of a bunch of Leviathans. And that could be a bunch of points. So that's cool. But you can also attack them and get some pearls, or maybe get an extra key and try to get that to go a little bit faster, you know. The whole thing just is fantastic. And I think, in my opinion, that it is much better, this new expansion, Leviathan, than the Kraken expansion, which I thought was pretty good, but I wasn't completely sold on it. It just sort of added a couple of pieces here and there. Whereas this one targets something that I thought was, again, sort of the weakest part and just kills it with new awesome content. So overall, for me, I love it. It's a fantastic expansion. There's nothing in it, again, except for the fact that it didn't include a scoring pad that I would change. This one's going to get a seal of excellence from me. If you enjoy Abyss, if you haven't had the first expansion or maybe tried it and you want a little bit more, I think you're going to like this one even more than that. And what it does with what's already in the game is incredible. Definitely get your hands on it, folks. That is Abyss Leviathan expansion. Thanks for tuning in. I will see you next time.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.